Welcome back. Let's quickly turn our focus to issues affecting young people in the country. The Minister for the Department of Women in the Presidency, Bathabile Dlamini, recently hosted a Young Women's Dialogue, which was addressed by President Cyril Ramaphosa. It sought to listen and respond to the issues concerning young women as part of Youth Month commemorations. Among those in attendance was students and activist Nompendulo Mkhatshwa, and of course she joins us now from our Pretoria studios. Nompendulo, good to see you. It's been a while.
Good morning, Leanne. How are you?
Very well, very well. How have you been? I believe that you've been continuing your studies. How are things going? I mean, we haven't spoken in quite some time.
Yes, I've decided to leave the BSc in Geography. Well, after completing my undergraduate degree, which was a BSc in Geography, I decided to venture into education. My long-term goal is to become a specialist in education. Yeah. So after protesting for the access and success within the education space, I decided to take a more professional and academic approach to it as well.
Fantastic. I think you were meant to do that. Well, all the very, very best with that, because I mean, we do remember you exceptionally well from the Fees Must Fall protests and your face being very, very much so a part of it. Talk to us about this event and I suppose you being invited and just being in the presence of such an important discussion.
Right. So firstly, I think we must commend the Department of Women for acknowledging the fact that the youth population is not a homogeneous one. So we're not all the same. So within the youth group or youth population, you also have young women whose issues are generally different to the issues of the youth in general, right? So we must acknowledge the fact that within Youth Month, the Department of Women decided to have a discussion with young women in particular. Basically the dialogue allowed for young women from different spaces and sectors of society to come and raise their concerns and to also share with us what they're currently doing to address issues that affect young women. And the President Cyril Ramaphosa then responded to the various inputs that young women gave.
Yeah. I mean, do you see sort of, obviously, you are a woman, you are young, and there are issues. If you had to highlight those top issues for being a young woman in this society, what would they be? What is it that you want to see being bettered?
Well, firstly, I raised the issues around jobs. And I said, we do commend the Yes Initiative by the President, and we hope that the Yes Initiative is inclusive of various identities of young people. So inclusive of, the various ways in which young people identify themselves, be it through the LGBTQIA community, be it young women, be it young men, black, white, from urban areas, rural areas, peri-urban areas. So that's the first thing that we specified. And often some of these programs are centralized to your big cities, right? So there was huge emphasis to say that we need to ensure that such initiatives are, like the Yes Initiative, are taken to the very ends of our country. So I also raised the fact that within these internships, often what you find is that the stipend is 6,000 Rand, for example, yet accommodation which is safe and close to your workplace is probably 4.5, almost close to that 6,000 Rand that you get. And taking into consideration the burdens that young people come with as they go into the workplace, it's almost unsustainable for a young person to survive. And the young woman to survive because, cheap accommodation is usually not the safest accommodation. So that was the first issue I raised. The second issue was with regards to strengthening the state. And we believe that as young women, if we are given the space within government to play a role by bringing our skills and our knowledge fresh from university, and not staying as interns forever, but actually swelling the ranks of the state, we would play a crucial role in strengthening the state. And particularly because we go to universities and we invest so much of our energies into ensuring that we have these qualifications, yet when we get to the part where we actually apply for the job, To quote myself, I mean, often the space is reserved. You know, the positions are reserved and reserved along political lines, which is very problematic.
That is a big problem. I just want to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time, but I mean, you've raised two really important issues, but I think the one issue that I think is glaringly obvious, and I'm not sure if you touched on it, and I'm sure you see it everywhere you are, gender-based violence, this blessee phenomenon that is causing a lot of grief amongst the young women of today. Is it something that was addressed as well?
Well, the President did acknowledge it, and I think what we need to, highlighting that sort of dynamic or phenomena within the campus or university space, what we need to acknowledge is that even though we have fee-free education now, we need to ensure that the peripheral services or provisions are given to young people. So ensuring that they have food, they have accommodation, they have you know, toiletries, they have the textbook, the laptop, the phone, everything that they need to ensure that their overall experience within the higher education space is not compromised to the extent of which they need to seek for alternative means of acquiring these particular resources and aids.
Yeah.
Sure.
I could speak to you all day, but unfortunately I can't. But Nompendulo, it's such a pleasure to see you. Thank you for sharing some of your views and your wisdom. Good luck with your studies in the education sector. I know that you're going to do a fantastic job there. Nompendulo Mkhatshwa is from our Pretoria studios coming to us live. She, of course, was one of the speakers at the Young Women and Dialogue that was held in Johannesburg, organised by the Minister in the Presidency, Bathabile Dlamini, and was also addressed by our President Cyril Ramaphosa, talking issues affecting women and the youth. All right, let's take a break. We'll have more after this.